I now call our meeting to order, time 5 p.m. We begin today by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Willistockweek. These territories are covered by treaties of peace and friendship of the Willistockweek people, first signed with the British Crown in 1725. Attendance has been taken? Yes. Approval of the agenda?
Bob Powell,
I'll second it, David DeBlissing.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Approve of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda, Dave Morrison.
Second, Derek Bluewell.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Are there any conflict of interest for disclosure this evening? No? Okay, we're going to begin before we go on to the committee reports. I have a few comments to make, and then I'm going to ask Director Derek Bluewell to say a few things, and then our CEO, John Smith. So I want to begin tonight by thanking each and every one of you for being here. Local governance reform has unfolded quickly over the past 18 months, and I recognize that it's been difficult at times. We have been on a whirlwind journey since the beginning of last year. We developed our strategic plan, set our committees for the newly mandated services, passed our first budget. Tonight, we are faced with a significant decision, and we have more to come. How did we get all that done? We did it together. We should be proud of our work together on implementing and our mandates, and we should take a moment to recognize the good work that we, as a commission, have done and the direction that we have provided for the region. At the last meeting on the proposed aquatic center, I heard many say that they did not want to be taken from their communities to have this vote delayed or reviewed further. It is time tonight to make decisions. As your chair, tonight I want us to come together and pursue the agenda that is before us as a team. Before I take any motions or hear any debates, I would ask the chair of the Regional Infrastructure Committee, Derek Bluewell, who so graciously agreed to head this team and who has spent a great deal of his personal time, along with the other members of the committee and with our experts in the field to get us to this point. And after he speaks, then I would ask our CEO, John Smith, to say a few words. So I'll pass it over to you, Derek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight will be about brevity for me. We've spent a great deal of time as the committee working through this file and getting us to this point. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight, and thank everybody for being here. And as chair, we've been tasked with a lot of the past year. Tonight, it's the duty of the commission to act responsibly and deliberate matters before them. It's imperative that the CRSC exercise due diligence in the situation we're in with respect to regional infrastructure, and directors have roles to play as decision makers and a mandate to fulfill. The Infrastructure Committee, appointed by the commission, has met with staff and experts for countless hours over the past year to formulate recommendations brought forward tonight. A great deal of information has been shared with us in advance of our last meeting, and the CEO and his staff has returned with options as requested. The CEO and consultants have made themselves available to respond to any questions and concerns throughout this whole process and have done it in a moment's notice. I'll turn the floor over to him. And I'll also say that we need to look at tonight as an opportunity. Regardless of the way it goes, we will have an outcome. We will learn from it and will inform us as we move further. And that was reiterated by the Infrastructure Committee in our last meeting this week.
Thank you very much, Director Bluewell. So, directors, getting ready for the meeting tonight has been a difficult road to travel, not just by you as members, but for your Infrastructure Committee as well. There have been difficult conversations, an incredible amount of information shared, and tonight the pressure of making the decision before you. Lately, I've been asked and questioned about what is the region accomplishing under local governance reform. And of course, me being me, I asked them to look around. What do you see? We are a major player in economic development by meeting with businesses that want to expand, the launch, businesses that want to expand, the launch of an immigration strategy, and in the fall, the Vision 2030. We're offering and promoting more tourism events in the region than ever before, with new and innovative ways to attract visitors. We're having more public safety forums to communicate and share information with the public and first responders. We've been working on our community development goals and objectives, as well as simultaneously working to support and connect community groups on everything from food security to overcoming poverty together while getting ready to launch a regional transportation study. When we look at all of this, we have held information sessions with communities on housing and funding opportunities. We're working with our partners on physician recruitment and retention by partnering with those entities that were up and running. We're advocating and supporting those that reach out on assistance for grants and community connections. We're making gains in waste diversion in our landfill, and our building permits have increased in dollar value for the region. We're going to be entering into our social mandate on homelessness, mental health, and poverty reduction. I could go on about the great work of our leadership on all the files behind the scenes as well, such as finance, governance, audit, and oversight, and let you know that these are led by directors of the board that do a great job and are supported by a very dedicated team at the Capital Region Service Commission. So why did I remind you of all your hard work? Well, tonight we have a proposal before you that was developed by your committee on sport, cultural, and recreational infrastructure. This committee, as Director Pleadwell had said, held meetings, provided information in many forums, and offered to respond to any questions that you or your council may have. The committee has been transparent, informative, and open in its process to arrive at this juncture this evening. No matter what the decision is this evening, we will have an outcome. We will be directed by that outcome, and we will be informed by it as well. I want to ensure that the board knows that things have ensure that things have changed, and we share the information on the acts with you. To be clear, there is no longer a reporting requirement to the minister on June 30th. There may be a reporting requirement to the commission, and that's the Local Governance Commission, and that will be made after the vote this evening. On motions, if the first motion is deemed to be regional, we will need to vote on all other motions. If it is sub-regional or local, we will not have to proceed after that with the other motions, as the board has no mandate to direct the community on these matters. The CRSC will participate if asked to assist in the development of a sub-regional facility or a local facility if we're invited to do so. On regionality, we have shared the criteria with you tonight. You will decide if it meets the test of uniqueness, accessibility, scale of activities, regional recreational opportunities, number of user groups and associations, and benefit to the region as a whole. What I'm most hopeful for this evening is that we learn from this experience and we move forward in a better way. Under section 2.7, who speaks for the commission of our procedural bylaw, the chair has delegated this to the vice chair. Director Pleadwell has agreed that he will be the spokesperson for the region and for the Capital Region Service Commission on this if there's media inquiries tomorrow and subsequently. An email with his contacts will be sent immediately following the meeting tonight to all of you and your CAOs. So I just wanted to be clear on the voting. I spent time, and where I got this information from is I spent time with the commission the Local Governance Commission's regional or legal counsel. So if it's regional and everybody's participating, there's no reporting requirement. If it's regional and not all members are participating in the cost sharing, then there is a report. You need to report to the commission. If it's sub-regional or local, there is no report back to the commission. However, the commission may review it should there be a request to review from any of the members of our board. So we may end up reporting. So we've been working with our consultants to prepare a report, to prepare all the documentation, to prepare everything, and you will see all of it before it goes. So I just wanted to walk you through that. And if there's any questions, Madam Chair, I could take those.
Yes.
I think there's one that must be hanging in the air here. And that is, how can it be regional and the community not participate?
That would be a decision of the board. That would be your decision. If there was a decision of the board to deem it regional and there were not, that would have to be reviewed. But the reality is at that point, it really technically becomes a sub-region.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So it's semantics.
It's semantics at that point. Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, Director Rogers.
Thank you. So I just have a question about the sub-region because there is not formally, we'd have a sub-region would need to be created. And is that done by the Regional Service Commission in conjunction with the local, with the commission? Like how is
If we're
that
invited to
created?
participate, we will participate and help facilitate those discussions.
All right,
In
so,
terms of the Regional Service Commission.
so who would be ultimately responsible for determining the sub-region?
Well, if there was it's the willingness of the shared partnership in the region. So, for example, Director Rogers, if it was the city of Fredericton. And you went out and you talked to the folks in the region or even in the greater, like within our regional scope. You could maybe you find 3 or 4 that want to participate in the development. Then we could look at helping facilitate those conversations to see.
Start with A.
Yes.
But that wouldn't occur tonight. That would be something that
That
would be
would happen.
determined after.
That would happen afterwards.
Yes.
And if we're requested.
Kevin, do you have anything to add or ask?
He's looking for.
He's on.
There, found the button. No, I don't have anything to add or ask. I understand everything you guys are saying.
Thank you. Anyone else around the table? No, okay, so then we're gonna move on to the committee report. Regional Infrastructure Committee Director, please go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not a person for delayed gratification, so my report was in the package, and if anybody interested to read it, me to read it, I will. In the absence of anybody wishing me to read it, I'll skip over it and move directly to making a motion. So I move that the Board of Regional Service Commission recognize the proposed aquatic center as regional.
Yes,
Seconded.
second, okay. Any discussion? Ready for the question? Now we should do individual votes.
Yes, just to be clear, this is to vote on whether this is regional or not.
Right, it's the first motion in the package.
Motion is that if we vote in favor of this, then it is a regional facility.
That's correct,
Thank you.
yes.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the directors, this is a weighted vote for the delivery of a service, so it is on the weighted voting system. So Kelly will track the votes as we go through.
Hey, Director Pleadwell,
Aye.
Director Duplessis,
Okay.
Director Nicklin,
Aye.
Director Morrison,
Nay.
Director Corey,
Nay.
Director Simpson,
Nay.
Director Sweeney,
Nay.
Director Powell,
Nay.
Director Hayward,
Nay.
Director Falconer,
Nay.
Director Mowry,
Nay.
Director Wilson Sheep,
Nay,
Director Rogers,
Aye.
and Director Forsyth.
Nay.
Nay.
okay, so that motion is defeated. Now we have the second motion, please,
So
option 2.
I move that the Board of Regional Service Commission recognizes the proposed aquatic center as sub-regional.
Can somebody second the motion?
Could you repeat that, please?
I move that the Board of Regional Service Commission recognizes the proposed aquatic center as sub-regional.
I'll second it, David Duplessis.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
And it gets back to sort of what our previous discussion is, why does, it's a genuine curiosity question. I'm genuinely curious, why does this board determine if it is
It's
sub-regional?
just to inform, sorry, Director.
No,
didn't
I'm
interrupt.
just confused.
Sorry.
Yeah, why it would be, why?
It's to
would-
inform our report to the commission if need be. So if there's a report required, it's in the best interest of the board. We have to just deem what did or indicate what did the board deem it to be. And that would then be reviewed by the commission, and recommendations will be made by the minister based on the information that we share.
So while as a community, I know Fredericton would be very open to having partners in this. I find it difficult to vote in favor of the facility being sub-regional, not knowing what that entails. So although I might vote against it, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't be open to it in the future and us working with future partners. But where a sub-region isn't previously defined, I don't know what that means. We haven't done any investigative work on what a sub-region looks like, what the cost sharing is. I don't feel like I can responsibly vote in favor of it being sub-regional, not knowing what the ramifications of that might be. However, I'd like known for the minutes, that's not to say that we're not open to working with other partners. I just don't find I have enough information to support that.
And if I would just add, certainly I can share where I'm going to go. I'm going to suggest for myself voting it as being sub-regional from an Arcadia perspective, in the hopes that we can work sub-regionally to come up with an agreement, which is not defined because we didn't go down that road in the first place, whether it's through the commission or through our individual communities.
Yeah, back to Corey. So on the issue of sub-regional, I think there would be some difficulty if the commission were to, if down the road we voted nay on sub-regional, and then the staff of the region began to work on a sub-regional project, because they're spending our money and someone else's money too when they're doing that. It's all staff time and energy. So there is an issue there. If you vote yes for sub-regional, then it would seem to me it gives the CEO license then to act in a different way than they would if we said no to it. That's just one person's.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Director Corey and to the board. So the deeming of a project or a project as sub-regional is just you're identifying that it is more likely to be sub-regional in the view of the commission. It does if we're invited. So again, I'll use the example of the city of Fredericton. They say, they contact the commission and say, we'd like you to try to poll the members, bring them together and see if there's an opportunity to develop a sub-regional agreement. Then we would have that go ahead to work on that. However, it's only if we're invited to. So, and Director Corey, if we're not invited by whichever community wanted to lead that process, and I do know that, I don't mean to divert or deflect, this is not what I'm trying to do, but I do know that Director Powell's community is looking at a potential sub-regional project. And if that's the case, we may be invited to act as a facilitator within that role. But it's not an obligation to the other members of the commission. It just says that the commission can work within that parameters.
Just a quick question for clarification. If the commission was invited to work for it, it would go to the board, whether it was decided to work for it or not, right?
We'd be informing the board, Director Morrison, yes.
It would be a decision of the board.
It wouldn't, for sub-regional?
If the commission was brought in to work, if it went to sub-regional, somebody wanted the commission to work on that project as a sub-regional, would it go to the board to decide whether the commission was going to work on it or not?
Yes, there'd be a recommendation coming from the infrastructure
Yeah,
committee, yes.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure it was clear.
But I think in the spirit of cooperation, I would suggest that it would probably be a good thing for us to try to do, and try to help them.
Okay. Any further questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one. So sub-regionally is basically what we do with the rinks at King Zero. The user fee that you charge all the kids participating. The LSD gives you that amount of money a year, so that's more in the sub-regional aspect. And yeah, I know Lincoln, they paid the kids in Lincoln, they paid to the town of Warmont to those fees. So Is that what you're talking about, sub-regional or?
No, so sub-regional, would be more like the Tri-County complex, in terms of that the communities all participated in the cost of the development. And then other communities that wanted to be able to participate in that, they would develop a user agreement with those communities. And just for clarification.
Understand now.
Director Rogers?
I'm still a little confused if voting, again, I don't want to shut down the idea of working with sub-region. I just don't know what we'd be getting into. So I don't know how, say everyone else, but who potentially will be the host community says they want it to be sub-regional. I don't know where that puts us. Similarly, I don't want it expressed that we don't want to function that way. I just don't feel that I have enough information to determine what it will be without having a sub-region determined, without knowing what a cost sharing model will be, without knowing any of that. I don't know how we can.
That would be that future work to come. So there would be future work for that to come, and the community, the city of Fredericton in this particular case, if it was your community, which, let's be honest, we would facilitate if invited to try to bring other communities on board. So it would that would be what you would be looking at, is our role would be trying to facilitate a sub-regional agreement with you and your community and some other willing communities that wanted to be within that agreement. So sometimes you get a small cluster in some of the other RSCs. There are 2 or 3 maybe smaller communities, or a large community and a couple small communities. And they said, we'd like to develop this particular piece of infrastructure. Everybody, they all participate in the cost of that. And then, as an example, if Director Corey or Director Morrison, their communities weren't in the sub-regional agreement, but you said we're open to user agreements, and those are very much that are in effect today, much like Director Forsyth was describing with the community.
I guess I'm just confused because I would think it very clearly regional was voted against. So therefore, presumably, all but 3 communities think that there is no point, that they're not interested in making a contribution to a pool. So then why does this board then vote on whether or not it's sub-regional? I think we've had most communities say we're not interested. So I just don't think it's fair for a community who's not interested to be involved in voting on whether or not it's sub-regional.
It's just to inform where the board felt that the infrastructure development rested. So at this point, we're just saying the board in general felt it was a sub-regional project, or we may say the board in general felt this is a local project, which can be a municipal project. So,
And I would just say from my perspective in Arcadia, in terms of deeming something as sub-regional, there's no prescriptive legislation or fine print that forces it, that I can see from reading any sort of model from a sub-regional perspective. All that work would have to come between communities. Nothing would preclude any of our communities in this Capital Regional Service Commission area or outside of Capital Regional Service Commission from working together. It's just, I see this as a means by using the Capital Regional Service Commission to assist us in coming to some agreement sub-region. That's just how I see it. It's a vehicle of cooperation.
I seconded the motion to get it on the floor.
Yes.
I'm prepared to vote against it. I've been on the infrastructure committee. I have seen this either local or sub-regional. And I think the committee will attest to that all along. I also agree with Director Rogers that they should be able to pick their partners that have interest in this. I don't think it should be coming from the board, in my opinion. And that's, I understand what you're saying too, John.
Yeah, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Director Plessy. We're not committing anybody to anything on that.
No, I understand that.
We're just purely saying that the board felt that this was more of a sub-regional or local issue in terms of an infrastructure development. And that's what we're saying. Because at some point, if we have to report, which most likely we will, if there's a request for a review, part of my responsibility is to write back to the commission or prepare a report for the commission, say they will want to know, did the board feel that it was sub-regional if it wasn't regional, was it sub, in their view, was it sub-regional or was it local? And that's all we're trying to determine is how does the board feel about that? At this point in time, there's no commitment made to anyone to be a partner. It is just purely what does the board see this as? That's it.
Director Mellon.
Just a simple question here. I'm just thinking, if this was turned out on this vote as well, down the road, if a neighboring community wanted to be part of it, would they not become up? I'll put it that.
Yes.
So this, I mean,
Yes.
this is just a technical vote here, but other than that, down the road, if somebody retired with Bennington on a pool, if it was close to them,
Yes,
they would be able to do that with no problem.
absolutely.
That was what.
Okay, and Director Morrison.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the mayor or the directors on either side of me that really the service commission did its job in determining whether it was going to be a regional or not. And it's obvious it's not a regional, so their jurisdiction, I feel their jurisdiction should end there. It's done, it's over. If the other works being built, like we all know it's Fredericton, if they want to reach out to somebody else to join them, that's up to them. It's up to where the service commission has no jurisdiction, whether it's sub-regional or local. The commission's work is done.
And at that point, if I could, I'll go to Director Nicklin in a second there, just to answer Director Morrison's question.
Yes,
Director Morrison, yeah, if it is that, I mean, we also could, there is the option of coming to an agreement tonight that there is no consensus. You know, in terms of that, if we voted each of them down, and that would form part of that report as well.
Yeah, like I said, the point that we were making was there's no need to go any further. The commission's job is to determine, they had some say in whether it was regional or not. It's not regional. That work here is done, in my opinion.
Director Nicklin.
Yeah, our council looked at this long and hard and we felt that the commission did a good job in putting the package together and actually went far enough to look at what a cost sharing type of atmosphere would look like. And so the question, as far as I'm concerned, is it regional? And you agree with that, or is it local? Sub-regional doesn't seem to come into play to me at all. And that as far as I'm concerned, if we didn't vote regional, then I'd be voting against sub-regional and get out of Fredericton's way. Let them do, as the Director Rogers said, let them, they have a need or a want for the pool. Let them find partners to help them. That's our feeling.
Thank you. No more discussion? So this motion is on the floor, option 2. We will take the vote now. Okay, Kelly?
Dr. Corey,
Nay.
Dr. Wilson Chief,
Nay.
Dr. Hayward.
No.
Dr. Mowry,
No.
Dr. Rogers,
No.
Dr. Sweeney,
Nay.
Dr. Morrison,
Nay.
Dr. Simpson,
Nay.
Dr. Pleadwell,
Yeah.
Dr. Powell,
Nay.
that was nay.
Nay, yes.
Dr. Duplessis,
Nay.
Dr. Forsythe,
Nay.
Dr. Nicklin,
Nay.
and Dr. Falcon.
Nay.
Okay, that motion is defeated. So now we will move on to the third motion, please, option 3.
Ignite. The Board of the Regional Service Commission recognizes proposed aquatic center as local.
Second by. Any discussion? No discussion? Ready for the question? We'll take the vote now, please, Kelly.
All right, Director Powell,
Yes.
Dr. Forsythe,
Yes.
Dr. Falconer,
Yes.
Dr. Rogers,
Nay.
Dr. Mowry,
Yes.
Dr. Wilson Chief,
Yes.
Director Simpson,
Yes.
Dr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Director Nicklin,
Nay.
Dr. Morrison,
Yes.
Dr. Duplessis,
Nay.
Dr. Corey,
Nay.
Director Hayward,
Yes.
Director Cleveland,
Nay.
that's nay. That one.
So motion is defeated. Right?
Can I just give me a second?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
this is the weighted stuff.
Yes.
Yes, take your time. Yes.
11.
We're not allowed to build a pool, I don't.
Well, you can do whatever you want. It's just that we don't get to say what it is.
It's 10 yay, 11 nay. Is how the weighted voting.
So the motion is defeated.
Defeated.
Okay, so what's the next step, Mr. Smith?
Very confusing.
Yeah,
So we
it's
have,
not regional and it's not sub-regional
What the hell is it?
It's not local.
and it's not local.
We went through the
What
three
is it?
options.
There must be a fourth options on there.
Okay, just a sec.
That's no longer.
Mr. Smith, our CEO has the floor, please.
so the reality is that we did not reach consensus. And that will be how we proceed on that. And at this point, there's no point in moving to the next motions. Because we have no clear determinant of how we're to proceed.
Motion to adjourn, Dave Morrison.
Second by,
Bob Powell or Muffin?
meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
So where do we go from here?
Well, then, we're local.
The local.
Local.
But we voted on local.
I'm totally confused.
Who said there's anything?
There's not.
So there never was anything. Let's assume that the city decides to do something tomorrow morning, they have all the freedom in the world to do that.
It doesn't hamstring.
Mr. Smith, did you have
No.
anything to say or did you finish?
We did.
Well, is the recording?
Yeah, it doesn't-
I'd like